The creation of African Continental Free Trade Area is a step forward for the African integration, and it is very much welcome both by Africans in Africa and those in diaspora. The creation of such is the only second one since the formation of World Trade Organization in 1994, and is only compared to the size that can compete if it works in Africa. 1.3 billion people will benefit out of this free trade that has been signed and endorsed by 54 heads of state. After several years of up and down in the valleys of Africa and the mountains of Africa, we finally came to a conclusion that this has to happen, which brings us to the dream of Kwame Nkrumah when he said, at least building a block by block, Africa will one day unite to stand as a united continent. But are the members of this African Union committed? Will they implement what they have decided? Today, in several countries, we see signs of xenophobia, the lack of patriotism amongst the younger generation, the lack of employment, the unemployment, the mistreatment of the young, the youth, those who need jobs, the corruption, the amount of corruption that has eaten the entire continent of Africa could hamper the free trade that we are anticipating on the continent. What measures, therefore, have African heads of state put in place to ensure that those who lag behind, those who drop out, must be penalized? We should not sign the document for the sake of documents, but we should sign documents for practical reasons that we shall implement what Africa needs today. Can it happen in our times? Is it going to happen? Is integration a mirage? Is integration worth going to happen? Will it happen? What has happened about the present blocks that have started integration process? What have they done? Is Africa integrating? Thank you. Today, thousands and thousands of Africans and many countries in Africa have conflicts. Notably, from Libya, Cameroon, Nigeria, Biafra, and the Boko Haram, to Democratic Republic of Congo, of where we have seen a resurgence of the past military and conflicts coming back in that country. Hundreds and hundreds of people have been displaced, killed, maimed, tortured, raped, several of them dying of hunger, starvation, and other natural causes. The fighting seems not to be ending. For the sake of Libya, the Libyan recognized international government is under siege in Tripoli from another faction recognized by Egypt, France, UAE, and other countries Whereas the one in Tripoli is recognized by the UN. It has been bombarded. Has been strangulated, and many millions of Libyans are dying of hunger, lack of water. The water system has been cut off. The bombardment goes on. In Democratic Republic of Congo, we've seen more of active rebel activities returning to the region after some silence has been observed. When we come to Cameroon, we see millions and millions of Amazonians slaughtered. Yet, when you come to Biafra, again millions and hundreds of millions and millions are worried, displaced, tortured by the Buhari regime. Yet again in the north, we see Boko Haram killing, maiming, abducting, and burning down villages in the same Nigeria. When you cross over to Central African Republic, the same is the history that has littered Africa. While all these events are taking shape, Africa is silent. Africa is not making enough efforts to find a solution to what is causing the problems in Libya, in DRC, in Cameroon, in Nigeria, Biafra, and now you add in Khartoum, Sudan. As people die, the people of Africa have no answers, have no solutions. There is nothing to endear to bring an end to the conflicts that have killed Africa. We seem to be new ones manufactured, old ones reignited, encouragement coming from external powers. One power that has been seen in the shadows of all these conflicts, especially the one of Libya that has escalated in the Sahara region of Africa, is France. When you come to Democratic Republic of Congo, the same country is in the shadows. The war can be seen is France. When you come to Cameroon, in Amazonia, the one behind that has the key to bringing peace is France. Therefore, our question as Africans, why are we silent? Why are we not saying enough is enough of the wars? Thank you. Very much. I think we're stronger start.
Yes, thank you very much wherever you are watching us from. This is Punchline Africa TV, and the show is African Showdown. And today we're just going to be looking at a number of current affairs happening here in Kenya and Africa in general. Joining me this afternoon in Nairobi, Kenya, is the panelist, and of course from the Political Command Center is Dr. Matsanga David. I'll just be taking the baton back to him so that he can bring on board the panelists that we have this afternoon. Dr. Matsanga. Yes, we seem to have a problem with Dr. Matsanga David. I'll just go straight to the panelists that we have this afternoon. And in Meru County, we have Douglas Kirimi Bundi. Good afternoon, Douglas.
Good afternoon, Mr. Sean Wesonga, to my friend Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, and also to Resisana Talwish, my colleague, and also my friend Jevan Karanja from Nanyuki. Thank you for having me on the show, Sean. Thank you.
You're so much welcome, Douglas Kirimi Bundi. And of course, we're going to be looking forward to a very candid conversation this afternoon. And of course, from you and other panelists. And I'll move with speed to our panelist who is joining us from Narok County, and that is Olesasina Tarwish. Good afternoon. How is your afternoon, Tarwish, Olesasina?
Good afternoon to you, Sean Wesonga, Dr. David Masanga. Of course, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, Douglas Bundi Kirim, and Javan Karanja. It's a great pleasure to join you on this program this afternoon.
Yes, fantastic. And we go all the way now to Nanyuki before we come back to Dr. Nyanchama. And that is Jevan Karanja. How is Nanyuki this afternoon, Jevan?
Thank you very much, Sean Wesonga and the rest of the panelists. Nanyuki is quite windy and sunny at the same time. And you know it's a new month, it's on a Sunday. Therefore, we hope for a blessing throughout this month. Always a pleasure showing up on Punchline Africa Television.
Awesome, awesome. That is Jevan Karanja, our resident panelist from Nanyuki County, like in Laikipia County, sorry. And therefore, I'll just move to the last panelist we have, and that is Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, who is joining us from Nairobi County. A very, very good afternoon, Dr. How is the going?
Oh, thank you so much, and my fellow panelists. Of course, this is Punchline Africa TV. The panelists, when they discuss, listeners, wherever you are listening us from, you are able to pick the tip from the top, the trip from the top, and you will become the cream of the crop when you hear the analysis of all these panelists. Thank you.
So much welcome, Dr. So I'll just check if Dr. Matsanga is back. He can take over. Yes, Dr. Matsanga, hello. All right, we're going to be just delving into the topics that we have today, and that is we start with the current affairs in Kenya. And of course, we're going to be looking at the newspaper headlines before we look at any other topic that we have for the day. And these will start with the Sunday Standard, and Raila faces the mountain. Will it embrace him? And that, of course, has all to do in regards to the 2022 political contest, where Raila Odinga and the Deputy President William Ruto are seen as the front runners in the presidential race to succeed President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. And therefore, the Mount Kenya vote is such a crucial vote to both leaders, the NASA leader Raila Odinga and the Deputy President William Ruto. So we have seen a number of Mount Kenya leaders trying to, in some kind, endorse Raila Odinga. And that is why perhaps the Standard newspaper has given us this particular headline. So I'll start with my brother Douglas Kirimi Bundi, who is in Meru County, that is Mount Kenya East. Do you think the mountain will embrace Raila Odinga?
Mr. Sean, thank you for asking that question. We need to be able to be very candid and very clear to ourselves when we tell the world that Mount Kenya region, especially those people from Tanga function and other political formations, that Mount Kenya region cannot be able to embrace the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, a statesman par excellence, a man that averted chaos in this country and the first handshake with the President Kibaki of his time, and also averted chaos and also bloodshed in our country during the disputed 2017 election, that he also boycotted the second election and replaced the president, and he had an handshake that saved the people of Kenya billions of shillings in dollars for the economy, and also saved human life, and also made sure that the properties of the people of Kenya are protected. Mr. Sean, I want to bring something to you up to speed. I want to bring you up to speed on something in Mount Kenya. The Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya today, Dr. William Ruto, was a very, very hated figure between 2007 and 2012 in Mount Kenya region for burning our people alive in a church, and for also facilitating the people that were slaughtering people in the Rift Valley. He was hated for killing our people, stealing our land, and also making sure that a lot of bloodshed was shed from our people in the Rift Valley, and giving a lot of interviews across the world saying how Mount Kenya people have invaded Rift Valley and they have to leave. And for that fact, people hated Dr. William Ruto, but he was brought by the president. We embraced him amidst a lot of doubts between Limuru 1, Limuru 2, and Limuru 3, which are synonymous with the political meetings that President Kenyatta was doing to sanitize the political image and the person of Dr. William Ruto. If we can cleanse a man that our people called Amandra, Mr. Sean Wesonga, we can be able to embrace a man that has not done us anything. His only sin in this world, known by God and man, is to run against our people in Mount Kenya, especially President Uhuru Kenyatta, His Excellency former President Moi Kibaki, and other people like Matiba and others. The only sin Raila Odinga or the Odinga family or the Odinga family evokes in Mount Kenya is not that of it. The only sin they have committed to our people is to run against us and want to snatch precedence again from our people. We need to be able to be very true to ourselves. There is nothing Raila has done wrong to us. Raila has never been a president in this country. We cannot judge his record. And when they were in the Grand Coalition, our man, His Excellency former President Kibaki, was a president from our region. So, son, people telling us we cannot be able to embrace Raila, they are living in dreamland, they are living in utopia, and such entertaining such thoughts will also evoke my 2008 Kiambaa Church massacre, where our people died, so many of them lost their lives. And in the whole of the fiasco, over 1,300 people lost their lives during post-elections violence that broke out from Rift Valley and other parts of the country. So if we can embrace a man that the community had labeled Amandra, Akira, a man that did not work for the benefit of our people, a man now that has been embraced here and seen as a political messiah of our times in the mountain, we can embrace Raila, whose only sin was to run against our people, like President Kenyatta, His Excellency former President Kibaki, and others, Mr. Shaw. So the only sin that I think we no longer have someone that is running in Mount Kenya region. We have to embrace Raila, we have to embrace Musalia Mudavadi, we have to embrace Masika Wetangura, and any other person that is running for president, especially Raila Amolo Odinga, a man whose statesmanship has shown that he is a true statesman, a man that deserves the presidency, and a man that cares about Mount Kenya. In as much as we have hated him for so long, the man continues loving us, allowing his children to marry among us, allowing intermarriages between the rural community and the Kikuyus of Mount Kenya region where we live. We shall embrace him, and it's about time Kenyans see Raila for who he is, a statesman, a man that loves Kenya, a man of unity, and a man that is going to take this country forward. Thank you, Mr. Sean.
All right, fantastic. There, Douglas Kirimi Bundi in Meru says that there is no sin that Raila couldn't be forgiven by Mount Kenya electorate. And of course, he has chipped in another perspective there of the 2007-2008 post-election violence, where the Deputy President William Ruto and his allies are accused of perhaps being the people behind the burning of the Kiambaa Church. But all said and done, this was actually swept under the carpet, and the Mount Kenya region was able to actually support him for his presidential bid together with President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta. Taruish Olesasina, Douglas has brought there a very, very important aspect of maybe comparing the kind of let's say enmity that was there between the region and the deputy president, which was actually swept under the carpet when the deputy president vied as the running mate of President Uhuru Kenyatta. Are we likely to see any scenario like that happening now with Raila Odinga? Yes, maybe perhaps I'll just go to the next panelist, and that is Javan Karanja. Javan, you've heard whatever Douglas has said, and of course you are from Laikipia County, which is part of the Mount Kenya region. Do you think we're going to have some dalliance between Mount Kenya region and Raila Odinga, owing to the fact that now this time round he's not coming alone like before, but he's coming with President Uhuru Kenyatta? Are we going to see some changes? Is he likely to garner some good votes to enable him clinch the presidency in 2022?
Yeah, thank you very much, Sean Wesonga and the rest of the panelists, and to our viewers who are watching. One, I will say that Raila Amolo Odinga has what it takes to take this country to the next level. And bearing in mind that in Mount Kenya region, we don't have a preferred presidential candidate who will be running against Raila Amolo Odinga, or who will be on the ballot in 2022. This gives high chances to the former Prime Minister to get more votes than what he got in 2017 or 2013. Therefore, there's a light at the end of the tunnel that former Prime Minister Raila Odinga might get some votes because initially he was running against a son from the mountain, and that was President Uhuru Kenyatta and former President Moi Kibaki. But this time round, the Mount Kenya region will not be producing a serious presidential candidate. Therefore, he might have some say, or he will get more votes. That is my perspective on that very issue. Number two, Raila Amolo Odinga has been supporting leaders from Mount Kenya region. From Moi Kibaki, he said Kibaki Tosha, and in the Nusu Mukate government, he ensured that we have more projects directed across the country, but more importantly, to the people of Mount Kenya region. And in 2017, when we had a country that was heading to a crisis, a country that was breaking down, Raila Amolo Odinga, through his prudence understanding of a united country, shook hands with President Uhuru Kenyatta, and we got the handshake that later gave birth to BBI, that is intending to better this country and to ensure that we streamline our electoral systems and we amplify the fight against corruption. Therefore, he has done a lot of good things to the people of Mount Kenya region than the harm, than the damaging perspective. Therefore, on that very crucial point, when you compare him with other presidential aspirants, especially the deputy president who has been camping in Mount Kenya region, you see there are some benefits that Raila Amolo Odinga has bestowed to the people of Mount Kenya compared to what the former the deputy president has done. Because if we go by the deeds, you'll see that in terms of collateral damage, deputy president has damaged his reputation more than the former prime minister. But what I will say, the votes in Mount Kenya region are open to any presidential contestant. Therefore, we welcome them, and they should not be lied, they should not be deceived that Mount Kenya has been bought to someone. No, Mount Kenya is open to all presidential aspirants, and when time comes, coalitions will be formed, and I tell you, the best coalition will be formed as we near the general election. I submit, Sean. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That is Javan Karanja from Nanyuki in Laikipia County saying that there is light at the end of the tunnel. So before I hand over the baton to Dr. Masanga David, who has rejoined the show, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, Karanja says that Mount Kenya region has worked with Raila Odinga before. And of course, we saw that in 2009 all the way to 2013. And also he says there's light at the end of the tunnel. Do you have a similar opinion? What's your take on that?
Thank you, Wesonga. Absolutely. Absolutely, I agree. Because remember this, Wesonga, you know, climbing Mount Kenya. Let me tell you, Wesonga, every step Honorable Raila Odinga makes diminishes DP's votes by the extent of the step. Raila Odinga doesn't need or the 99% of Mount Kenya votes. He needs strategically to advance and calculate his steps.
Okay.
You can imagine that if he's able to climb by 20%, he will diminish the DP's votes by 20%. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't need the substantive of the 90% of Mount Kenya. All he needs is to be very calculative and strategic, and they will make significant inroads. We usually say, by the way, that you don't drown by falling in water. You drown by staying in water. So long as the Prime Minister is very strategic and making very calculative steps, I am telling you, he will be eating into the slice of the DP. And it is high time the DP start getting worried. Don't forget, that is not making the steps alone. He is moving with very influential people in making those steps, meaning the influential people in Mount Kenya are like his coaches. So the coaches seems to be very effective in this case, effective in the sense that they are endowed with the resources. Mm-hmm. I think this is the space to be watched. For me, Wesonga, I think it is time the TP will be worried, because for him, by the way, remember that the former Prime Minister significant is retaining his former constituency. All he needs is just a small portion from Mount Kenya, and they would be very competitive in this race of presidential elections. I submit to Wesonga.
Fantastic there, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, holding an opinion that most pundits actually have held, that Right Honorable Raila Odinga does not need the entire Mount Kenya vote, but just a chunk of it to share it with the Deputy President, and then he'll be having a chance at State House. So therefore, all that said and done, I'll just like to take the baton back to Dr. Masanga David. And of course, we are looking at the newspaper headlines, and on the Standard today, Raila faces the mountain. Will it embrace him? Dr. Masanga David.
Thank you very much, viewers, wherever you are across the world. Thank you very much. I'm sorry for the technical hiccup that occurred, and I was not able to hear the voice of Africa all the way from Cape Town, Cairo, Abidjan, Abuja, Lagos, Kigali, Dar es Salaam, Nairobi, Kampala, Asmara, Addis Ababa. Good evening or good afternoon, wherever you are. Thank you for Africa and keeping Africa working. This is Dr. David Masanga. I am on the race, in the race, for the race. What do you call that, Wesonga? Thank you very much, Dr. Nyanchama. Raila needs only 20 to 30%. I agree with you. But remember, the voting pattern of Kenya is very clear. The factors, the influencing factors are very clear also. Remember, what is taking place at the moment is people are weighing. You can see the way the discussion of bottom up economy. People are weighing what to do, when to do, how to do it. I think by the time we reach the time of elections, because at the moment the elections is not important to the people of Kenya. And as I've stated, elections in Africa are not important. Because Africans, we have not known what elections are. I'm one of the few people who does not believe that a man like Buhari should be elected or should even conduct an election in Africa. I am not convinced. I am not convinced that people like Buhari would be elected in Africa. In fact, to waste time talking about elections in Africa, we are not yet ready. Please, the 36 years that I have been in United Kingdom, which I continue to be there, I'm making my 37th year. I am convinced the United Kingdom can conduct an election. But the 59 years that Uganda, approaching to 60 years of independence, next year, I am not yet convinced that Uganda can conduct an election. I'm not yet convinced that Nigeria can conduct an election. Nigeria cannot conduct an election. There is no need of an election in Nigeria. You waste time, money, and the people's time of production. In fact, the days that you say 6 months, 9 months, you can go and campaign. Tell people to go and grow crops, grow pineapples, grow beans, soya, cabbages for export. It is more viable than an election in Africa. Because what Africa produces, Wesonga, is not an election. Africa produces tears. There is only one country in Africa that does not produce tears. Even when there is inequality in terms of elections, it's South Africa. South Africans, given the inequality that they have, the difficulties they have of land issues, they vote and go home and start working tomorrow. Show me another African country that works, votes, goes home, works tomorrow. Show me. Honestly, show me. If there is any country in Africa, any country in Africa that votes, then disappears, then goes home, and the people laugh again tomorrow, I will give you some money. I don't think in Kenya people vote, and all of you are Kenyans. I'm not a Kenyan on this panel. In Kisii, people vote, but go there the following morning. Some of them lock themselves in the house until the morning, until 2 days pass. Go upstairs. So, truly speaking, the Prime Minister is my favorite candidate for 2022. I have not hidden. If I were Kenyan, I would wake up very early in the morning and throw my vote and go back home, encourage others to vote for him. He's an elderly statesman who can guide this nation. This nation at the moment needs that guidance. The rest of the people are coming in with populist agenda to eat, to increase, to add on volume on what is corruption. We have not managed the corruption yet. That's my submission.
Thank you so much. That is Dr. Masanga David putting it into perspective. And of course, we're just going to go to the last newspaper, and that is the Sunday Nation. And I see there just a similar, or rather a close topic to what the Standard is having, and that is the 30 days on the cross. So maybe perhaps we might not touch on that, but just below there, we do have a topic talking about Uhuru ally plans radical changes at the judiciary, and that is the Nyeri town MP Wambugu Ngunjiri, who is proposing sweeping changes that could dramatically alter the way Kenya's courts operate, including the introduction of a jury system and the dehorning of the Judicial Service Commission. So Ngunjiri says that there should be a system of holding a person making a bad decisions accountable, and currently judges do not have that kind of accountability. And I believe this is something Dr. Masanga David has been talking about for quite some time. So maybe perhaps I'll give him this opportunity to discuss it, and then we can move to the current hot topics of the day. Dr. Masanga.
Other people to make contribution so that I can come in to summarize. Let's allow other people to make quick contribution.
All right. I'll just,
because I have my position already. I said it long time ago that is where the problem is in Kenya. So I will allow the Kenyans yourselves, and that is how I'm going to do it. I will be allowing you yourselves, because then I come in as an independent observer and I make my contribution.
All right, fantastic there. So I'll just move with the speed and go to Tarwish Olesesina. I believe we missed you on the first session of the topics that we had on the Standard newspaper. And on today's Sunday Nation, of course, something that we've been talking about on this platform, and that is the accountability of judges and the magistrates, or rather the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya. Do you think such a proposal by the Nyeri town MP Ngunjiri Wambugu Wambugu is going to solve the problem that we have with the judiciary right now?
Thank you so much, Sean Wesonga, and of course my colleague panelists, including Dr. Masanga David. And right to your question, Sean, I believe whatever kind of legislations or laws we are making as a country should be for posterity and should not be about an individual, should not be targeting any specific person for that matter. And when Ngunjiri MP, Nyeri MP, that is Ngunjiri Wambugu, comes out with such kind of a proposal to try and regulate and make sure maybe we have a sense of accountability in as far as how the judges are undertaking their job, I think is a step in the right direction. Only that my wish and hope will be this particular legislation and law is not geared towards targeting an individual or targeting a specific person, because again, laws should always be for posterity, regardless who is occupying that particular position at the moment. Because again, when you look into it, we have to look into what is the motivation, what is the inspiration behind such kind of course, legislation that is intended by Ngunjiri Wambugu. But again, you are Sean Wesonga and the rest of the panelists will accept and acknowledge the fact that we have had a very big challenge. Judiciary or the justice system has been the biggest weak link in as far as the fight against corruption is concerned. Mm-hmm. And also the judiciary in itself as a whole has been used, has rather been hijacked to the detriment of how governance has been to the people of Kenya. So therefore, if there's going to be any legislation or any initiative that is going to make sure that such kind of loopholes are going to be sealed so that the people of Kenya can eventually be joyous and expect that justice is going to be dispensed without any undue influence or coercion, or that there are any individuals or quarters that continue to dictate the affairs and how the judiciary is actually undertaking its job, then I think it's a welcome move. For now, I beg to submit.
Yeah, thank you so much. That is Tarwish Ole Sasina, and of course he agrees with such a proposal from the Nyeri Town MP Ngunjiri Wambugu. Now I'll move to Douglas Kirimi Bundi. We saw even the other day in South Africa, a judge's decision to jail the former President Jacob Zuma actually plunged the country into some kind of mayhem. And here you see Ngunjiri Wambugu talking about judges and other judicial officers actually being accountable for the decisions they make. Do you think that is ripe for Kenya? Are we going to see maybe some radical changes occurring in the judiciary in as much as such a proposal is concerned?
Thank you, Mr. Sean. In less than 2 minutes, my position is yes. We need radical changes at judiciary. The president is checked by the voters that vote for him. The president is checked by parliament. President is checked by the constitution. President is checked by international community and everyone else that cares to do so in this regard to the issue of the Republic of Kenya. Parliament is checked by all and sundry, because at the end of the day, we also want a scorecard from a speaker, whether from a political party, president of the Republic, or the people of Kenya can see a bad speaker, a speaker that does not read the parliament the way it is supposed to be done. And the same case for elected members of parliament, senators and governors, or and sundry, including a common person. The common person as someone that checks on them. They are held accountable, including when they do something wrong. But in this case, who holds accountable the judiciary of the Republic of Kenya? Who holds judiciary of the Republic of Kenya accountable, Mr. Sean? Who does that? No one. Nobody responds to the queries about the conduct of judicial officers when they are arrested because they have received bribes in their offices. It is called, this is politicization of the judiciary. It is called unconstitutional. We are told that the judicial independence is being interfered with, and we are filled with so many manner of shenanigans about judiciary being checked. And yes, sweeping changes at judiciary are welcome, and they should arrive faster than we thought. They should arrive like yesterday, because at the end of the day, who checks on judiciary when their conduct and their ethics are interfered with by their personal greed, and also an insatiable need for more and more resources and more money that the drug cartels, the blood grabbers in this country drug dealers in this country, and everyone in this country who continues practicing corruption in this country, give them money in gunny bags. Who checks on judiciary? Sweeping changes at judiciary are welcome. It is not something that we should debate on. It is something that should be brought and be implemented immediately. They are not above the law. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Douglas Krimi Bundi there in Meru County. And of course, he has brought in a very, very important point about the checks and the balances that we should have on our judiciary. And he opines that the presidency, that is the arm of government, the executive, has the citizens of the republic who check on it. The parliament, similar scenario. But when it comes to judiciary, it has been operating as if it is a law unto itself. And that actually, Javan Karanja, it goes beyond even the matters that are actually maybe are not implemented quite with integrity in courts. The other day we saw the activist Boniface Mwangi talking about how he was helped by the former CJ Willy Mutunga to purchase a motor vehicle through an auction by the judiciary for only 42 shillings, Kenyan shillings. So that tells you that actually there are some things in the judiciary which will actually be checked on. What is your take on this? And will such a bill sail through in the wake of opposition from the judiciary at any changes which are meant to ensure that we have some transparency and integrity in the body? Because we have a proposal of the judiciary ombudsman in the BBI agenda, but as it is right now, seemingly the judiciary is acting in a way that is opposed to such changes in the arm of government. What is your take on that? Will it see the light of day?
Thank you very much, Wesonga. And I agree 100% with the proposals that are being made by the Nyeri Member of Parliament, and that is one Ngunjiri Wambugu, because this is judiciary that we have. It's so powerful that they feel like they own the constitution and they can manipulate the constitution at will when it favors them. Therefore, we need to have a way of ensuring that there's accountability from our judges, there's accountability from our judiciary, there's a way we check and balance how they operate. And that is why I was supporting the BBI, because it was proposing for the office of the judicial ombudsman, which would be checking and ensuring that the decisions that are made by our courts, by our judges, are decisions that are upright, are decisions that uphold the rule of law, and are decisions that are fair, and there's no kind of favorism, and that are transparent in nature. Therefore, that proposal is timely, it is well thought, because we have seen judiciary being used by external forces, being used by the opposition in certain quarters to push for regime change, to push the government of the day to the corner, because especially when they don't read from the same script with the judiciary. Therefore, we need to ensure the judiciary that we have is independent as it is in the constitution and in action. We should not be having an independent judiciary when we read into the constitution. We need to have an independent judiciary when it comes to actions and the delivery of the services that they are mandated to offer to the people of Kenya. Therefore, this is a very good proposal, and I feel in future we need to look how we have these judges in office in the first place, because we cannot just be having a panel sitting down and they just do their things, and they propose judges, some of which who are corrupt, some who have been involved in mega corruption cases, some who are known drug dealers and land grabbers. We need to have a way of ensuring that even before we get these judges to promote them into the courts of appeal or in high courts, there is a way we ensure that they hold the integrity and we have the most cleanest people at the helm of the judiciary. We cannot have robbers in the judiciary and expect that those who are convicted of robbery will have justice, or those who are go to this court seeking justice will have justice. That, Wesonga, as I conclude, a threat to justice is a threat anywhere, is a threat to justice everywhere. Therefore, the threat that we have seen from our judiciary towards the executive is a threat to all of us as Kenyans. Therefore, we need to wake up and say enough is enough and have a way of ensuring that we hold our judges accountable for the decision that they made, especially when they do it from a personal perspective or when they do to intimidate other quarters. Thank you.
All right, and of course, the other day, the Royal Media Services Chairman S.K. Macharia also threw some points regarding to what you've just talked about, and he said the president has the right actually to reject judges who are proposed to him by the JSC, whose integrity seem to be in jeopardy. So that is the same thing that perhaps many Kenyans have perceived as a step towards ensuring that we redeem the integrity of our judiciary and be able to stem out judges whose reputation and their conduct has been found not to be weighing up the scale. Dr. Nyanchama Joseph, Ngunjiri Wambugu, the Nyeri Town Member of Parliament there, bringing a proposal to hold judges and magistrates accountable to the decisions that they make. Do you see it as a milestone to ensure that we regain the confidence of the people of Kenya in the judiciary by giving it integrity, or do you see it as a move to cajole and be able to intimidate the judiciary? What is your take on that?
Thank you, Wesonga. You know, first of all, the proposal is going to heal two things. One, there is a perception which is pervasive in the Republic that the judges are goddesses of sort. You know a goddess? And nobody dare question their actions. This proposal will in fact heal the wrong perception from the citizens they have about judges. That is why you see, even when DCI arrests a judge, there are people who can even corrupt because they can't imagine how dare can you arrest a goddess. So we need accountability. And the aspect of accountability from my own perspective is to make the judges that if at any point in the course of making their judgment, they are found to have been negligent to a certain extent, then they should be solely responsible to the extent of their negligence. The way the law is now, you see people can make deliberate judgments, knowing that the perception from the Kenyan population, they are on the echelon of goddess sort of, and they deliberately make decisions which benefit themselves, and this is dangerous. I think to that extent, we will support the proposal by the Member of Parliament of Nyeri. Wesonga, recently, did you see how the Chief Justice said that you cannot, telling the other arm of government, which is supposed to oversight, which is Parliament, you know, they were not summoning judges. Remember, they were only summoning the judicial officers. That Parliament cannot even summon the registrar of the High Court, that they are insulated. You can now see the goddessness I'm talking about. We need to discuss as a country on how proper checks and balances so that other arms of government do not use their positions to undermine the integrity and security of the state. To that extent, Wesonga, I support that proposal. Because, by the way, some judges deliberately make judgments knowing that they are wrong. Wanasema, we will make it this way, those who are dissatisfied can appeal. And if it is proved that at the point you are making the judgment, you actually knew it was wrong, you are responsible for that bad judgment. So, Wesonga, I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nyanchama David, and of course, Joseph. And of course, the point there is that we need checks and balances. And you mentioned quite well there that the judiciary should not be like the Herod's wife, who is beyond reproach. Dr. Masanga David, you can sum it up for us. This is a topic that you have been talking on this forum for quite a while now. Dr. Masanga?
Yes. Thank you very much, viewers. Systems are checked. Systems are balanced. If you don't have checks and balances, a car will either run very fast or run very slow. When it runs faster than the usual speed, it kills people. When it runs slow, it forms a traffic jam. I'm using this simple analogy to bring to your attention that a system without checks and balances ends up to be a very draconian system that kills Africa. When you look at across African countries, very few African countries have what we call assessor system, jury, assessors. In our country, Uganda, we used to have assessors, those who assess what the judge, what the case would be. Assessors would come in handy. In the United States, there is a jury. That's why you find that in the United States, if you are sentenced there, very few people come back to complain about the sentence. Why? Because the jury balanced and the judge came in to say, well, on this point I did not agree, on that point I agreed. The situation in Kenya at the moment is a very interesting situation. One of the things that made me to hate International Criminal Court was because the International Criminal Court did not have the jury. One of the things that makes me hate ICJ is the ICJ has no other court. Once it makes a decision, that decision is binding. It remains on the statute books of the International Court of Justice. Therefore, for me, I support changes that will balance, will check the excessive powers of a judiciary composed of lawyers only. In other countries like Britain, you find people who are not lawyers heading the Public Service Commission, the Public Judicial Service Commission. You don't necessarily need to be a lawyer. You need to be a very good manager who can manage the judicial service system. The judicial service system has become another Supreme Court. Yes, it is a Supreme Court. What is it that it does which the Supreme Court does not do? The only thing they do is they don't sit with robes. But I think if Madame Kome wanted, she would sit with the robe, with all those, the entire attire, and the chair the JSC. The mess that Kenya gets, and now I sit properly like this and talk about Kenya. The Kenyan mess is that you pasted from the United States Constitution. You borrowed and pasted from South African Constitution. You ran again and pasted from the United Kingdom Constitution. What a shame. A nation of intellectuals cutting and pasting a constitution of 2010 and earning millions and millions of dollars. And thereafter, the same people who opposed the constitution in 2010 are the same people who don't want it to be changed today. Have you seen where you are? I told you that from today I've changed my politics. I want to leave you yourselves. The chairman, I just want to beg you not to miss these shows. Because I want to leave you, then I come to Mark. I'll mark and I tell you from an observer point of view that now, as an observer, Dr. Nachama, I agree with you. I agree with Gunjiri that the Constitution of Republic of Kenya needs an overhaul. That's why President Uhuru Kenyatta said, and Raila Odinga said, let's have a relook, let's do what we call fatigue evaluation of our judicial system by bringing an ombudsman. Why do you hate somebody to check on your work? Because you have hidden skeletons, isn't it? Why are people worried, Mr. Nachama? Why, Dawish, why are people worried? Because they have skeletons. Therefore, if there is any system of checks and balances, for example, I live in the United Kingdom. There is no written constitution in the United Kingdom. No. Constitutionalism in the UK has grown out of evolution. Have we in Kenya in 10 years evolved our constitution? Have you? Chama, did you evolve the constitution? Or you created chairman of this, chairman of that, chairman of that, on a cut and a paste constitution, which is now bringing you, why are you having problems? If you are still having ICC coming to pick one of you, and yet you have a special division of the High Court, which is not functioning, what are you now? A country like Uganda, it's impossible now. That's why people who collected the signatures to take Museveni to the International Criminal Court, when they called me, I told them, you are useless people. I think you went to a Makerere University, but you wasted your father's school fees. Makerere University is one of the best universities in Africa. But being a man who went to Makerere, a lawyer, like Elias Lukwago, the mayor of Kampala, a good lawyer collecting signatures to take Museveni to the ICC. Yet Uganda law has domesticated ICC in the chamber. You must be very stupid and ignorant. You don't even deserve to be a mayor of Kampala. Because Uganda has domesticated its law. You cannot take any Ugandan on international crimes unless he has killed people in the US. You get my point? There's no Ugandan you can just come and grab. If he stole money in the US, yes. If he has done fraud in the US, yes. But to go to Uganda and pick somebody and howl him, the people who are in the ICC refused to sign the agreement. The people who signed the agreement, like us, who agreed, we signed and ended the war. They have been, those who have crimes were forgiven. Those who had higher crimes were taken through a special division of the High Court of Republic of Uganda. Why has Kenya taken long to put checks and balances? because the JSC has become the eating pot where everybody puts his hand. Whoever is on the JSC has interests. We want a JSC that selects judges without any patronage. You want also the Chief Justice. He can't be in the Supreme Court at the same time lead the JSC. What rationale is that? Are there no people who can serve in those capacities? If the judge, if the Chief Justice is indeed independent, why should he take part in selecting the judge? No, honestly, reason like this. If you say the court must be independent, why should judges sit on the JSC to select their fellow judges? I'm reasoning with somebody out there with something. Is there anybody who can tell me the rationale of Kenyans saying we have an independent JSC? An independent JSC doing what? Chief Justice Kome selects the person who is going to be in one of the benches. Is that independence? You know, when Dr. Nyachama is looking up there, something has hit him. And I know he'll expand it later or tomorrow. Have you seen that? Justice Wasame sitting in the JSC. Justice Muchelule. Deputy Justice Filimona Mwiru. They are selecting the judges coming to the court. Is that justice? Is that independence? Is that independence? My fellow Africans, look at your court littered with $5,000, $20,000, $60,000 bribes invaded during daytime. A sting operation is done on them. Tawish is here smiling. I'm from Narok. What Narok, man? What? Niambie mtoto ya Narok. Niambie. Tell me. Mtoto ya Nyamira. My brother, tell me. How do you call that a court? A court. A JSC should be a JSC that delivers independent judges. But here the judges are selected by the Chief Justice together with other 4 judges. How will the Attorney General face the same judge he elected? He selected from the panel. How sure are you that the Attorney General will not want the judge so that when he takes their government job, a case, it is one? I can hear Karanja his stomach is boiling now. I wanted to bring these things up on the surface. Can't you see that, Karanja? Judges sitting on the panel, selecting their fellow judges, going to be in the court with the bench, on the bench, by the bench. Is that what we call? What do you call that? Then you tell everybody, oh, the more we are domestic, we are people around the country, Africa, we are. Yes, accept what Uhuru Kenyatta and Raila Odinga told you. The Constitution of Republic of Kenya needs to be looked at. It was a cut and a paste job. The mess Kenya finds itself today is a mess that you created yourselves by having a constitution borrowed from these different jurisdictions. You went to South Africa, you borrow something. You went to US, you borrowed. That you want to interview a judge. You interview a judge and screen him. Everybody knows he's dirty. Dirty. Then boss, look, judges in Westminster style, which is the Commonwealth of Common Law, are appointed secretly. Wesonga and the panel. Finally, I want to ask one question. Without you, and don't close this tab, what is the name of the Chief Justice of Britain? Not touching any equipment. Look at my eyes. What's the name? Does any of you know the name? And the Karanja, don't steal, because I'm seeing you are knocking on something there. Don't. Tawish is very good at typing something to get it from Google. Chama today. What's the name of the Chief Justice of Britain? Don't type.
No, I don't know, Dr. I don't know.
I don't know. Personally, I don't know.
Karanja?
I don't know either.
My friend.
Yes, I
Neither do I. Can I tell you the truth? I also don't know. Honestly, it is very rare in Britain to know who the Chief Justice is. And this is where we got our law. Now, I give you permission to Google. You will find who the Chief Justice of United Kingdom, a country that gave us the English we are speaking. Who is the Chief Justice? Now tell me. You just Google. And Najama, that is exactly, you see my point, sir. That's exactly the point. To show you that the judiciary is secretive. When a judge comes to make a ruling, gives you a hand, hands you down a ruling, you will go to jail knowing, yes, but I did this. He has been fair. But when you screen your judge, putting that you are the one who produced democracy from Socrates, or Aristotle, or Plato Republic, that it put the judge there, that the other day you were wearing a blue skirt. Look, you better, time has come to do what we call fatigue evaluation of your systems. I rest my case and we move on to the other topics. Yeah. Songa, can you now tell us the name of the Chief Justice of Britain?
Yes, thanks so much, Dr. Masanga David. And of course, you have put it quite into a very, very intense perspective. And of course, for a majority of us, we never even knew the Chief Justice for Britain. And that is because of the kind of structure that they do have in their country. And I'll just get that in a moment. But before that, we're going to be just looking at the last hot topics that we have for today, and that is everything to do with the politics that happened over the weekend and the past week. And of course,
I think that is okay. We now move on to the next topic.
Yes, and that is...
we have lost a lot of time.
Yes, and that is the African Union. And the question is African Union captured, and is it dying or suffering from a political management crisis? So that is the topic that we're going to be looking at. And when we talk in that perspective, the AU seem to have failed to deliver on the aspiration to achieve a peaceful and secure Africa set out in Agenda 2063. And that came with a promise of silencing the guns. But however, as we do have right now, we have a conflict in the Tigray region, region in Ethiopia. We do have a conflict in the Central African Republic. We do have a conflict in southern part of the continent in Mozambique, and also the Sahel region. So I'll just go to Douglas Kirimi Bundi. Do you think the AU has been able to deliver on its mandate, or is it captured and it has been suffering a crisis in management?
It's not there.
Okay, then I'll proceed to my brother Tarwish Olesasina from Narok. Tarwish, take it over.
Thank you so much, Sean Wesonga, and of course the panelist for that contribution on the previous topic. Indeed, nothing is further from the truth. And I think we've had an opportunity to speak about the ineptness, the incompetence that is the African Union, especially on its leadership. And I think mostly on the part of the Punchline Africa TV and Dr. Masanga himself, of course, there was that attempt really to try and push for reforms and change at the African Union leadership. Although not so much has been achieved so far, it remains my hope and prayer that maybe as we head into the next election and appointment on the persons who will lead the African Union, really we can have a change that is for the interest of the people of Africa. But as it is, Wesonga, if I should really be candid enough with you and my colleague panelist, the African Union is toothless. The African Union is not responsive to matters affecting the continent of Africa. And even as we speak today, isn't it in itself really defeatist? Isn't it itself a pity? An irony that even as we speak now, the African Union headquarters is actually in the Ethiopia, that is in Addis Ababa. But as we speak today, of course, we continue to have so many problems, even in Ethiopia itself. And the African Union cannot come out openly and with a lot of courage and boldness to speak about the events that are happening in Ethiopia, and maybe even initiating any kind of efforts to see into it how such kind of issues can be solved. In itself, it really tells you that we have people who just want to sit the African Union headquarters, who just want positions, not necessarily to address the issues that affect this continent, but because they want to work at the behest of other external forces, and more so just to continue getting money, but not actually working for the people. In itself, it's very, very unfortunate. Yourself, you have attributed to the fact of what is happening in the continent of Africa today, looking into so many issues. You go into Nigeria, you go into Somalia, you go into South Sudan, go into Mozambique, go into Central African Republic, and so many other nations that I can't quite mention. Almost every other of the African nations, especially in the sub-Saharan Africa today, is facing so many upheavals, political and others. But again, African Union cannot come out boldly and try to condemn or even provide solution for the same. So what will be the best way forward, I think? It is the question of addressing the leadership vacuum and problem that we have in as far as the African Union is concerned, because we cannot continually wail in tears. We cannot continue complain. If we cannot, as a people of Africa, rise to the occasion and see into it, how then can we provide a solution or an answer to the problem that the African Union is facing? And the African Union itself does not have any problem. I think the problem has been but the leadership. So if we can wake up to the reality and face the leadership problem that you have in the African Union, then I tell you, as a people of Africa, as the African continent, then we'll be moving a step in the right direction in trying to see how we can empower the African Union and seeing into it how it can live into the aspiration and the expectation of the people of Africa. For now, I submit.
Thank you so much, Tarwish. And of course, you admit that we do have a leadership problem with the African Union. And that was, of course, part of the question asking whether it is dying or suffering from political management crisis. And you say the best way forward is to address the leadership vacuum that we have at the African Union. And of course, that means that we do not have a leadership which is up to task in solving the African problem. So that just before I go to Karanja in Nanyuki, I'd just like to bring to your attention the Lord Barnett of Meldon is the current CJ of England and Wales, and that is in regards to the question that Dr. Masanga David brought on the panel. So in as much as that is concerned, I believe we can now let it to rest. So I'll just move with speed in the interest of time and go to Jevan Karanja in Nanyuki. What do you think of the African Union? Has it failed the people of the continent, or do you think maybe it has, we need to give it more time to be able to put its initiative together?
Thank you, Wesonga, and I'll say that the Africa Union, the body that we have currently is just a rhetoric body. It's not action-oriented, because we have seen Africa countries are suffering, heading into crisis when the Africa Union is silenced to things that matter. We have seen the violence, the crisis, the insecurity insurgents that we have in Ethiopia. When you look at Nigeria, the country is breaking into pieces. When you go to Mozambique and so on. And we have Africa Union, which is supposed to be rising to occasion and being alert to things that happen in Africa continent. But we don't see them taking any action to ensure that they bring solutions. They bring adversary roles, if I may say so that we can ensure that we heal and we bring a remedy to the problems that are affecting our African continent. Therefore, on my humble submission, the Africa Union is dead. It is in a terminal illness. It is heading to death, because as we speak, it is not able to offer solutions. It has been overrun by time. It has been passed by the events. Therefore, this is a body that is living in the past. We need to ensure that we rejuvenate the body, we revive the body, so that it can meet and it can be in line with the aims and objectives that we had in the first place when we were forming this Africa Union. Because as we speak, it does not live to ensure that they achieve the objectives and the aims that we put in place to ensure that this body works for Africa, to better Africa, and to ensure the Africanness in us is brought into the table, so that we can have the bargaining power. And I think we need also to ensure that this body rises to occasion in terms of offering solutions. We don't just have a body that is rhetoric oriented. We need a body that is action oriented, a body that is solution oriented, a body that is futuristic, and a body that is there to ensure the Africa continent is greater and is made greater by its people, through its people, and that will only have come to realization when we streamline the leadership in Africa Union. On that point, I submit. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Javan Karanja. And of course, you highlighted there that we need a body that is solution-oriented. But looking back at the African Union, the conflicts that we have currently and previously, you realize that the AU has failed terribly in terms of helping to achieve peace and reconciliation in these conflicts. For instance, the AU, since November 2020, the AU has not sent any envoy, or has it sent any peace proposal in Ethiopia. And in the recent speech to Parliament, the Prime Minister of Ethiopia, that is Abiy Ahmed, said his government could assemble 100,000 special forces in no time. He also added that they could even recruit 1 million young men who are ready to fight. You see, these are quite some sentiments that actually could easily broil genocide or a war in Ethiopia. But amidst this, the African Union has been very, very silent. And of course, at the same time, the rhetoric is heard from the Tigrayan side that the people have risen and taken up arms from young to old. And this has orchestrated a group of militia who are actually fighting the federal government of Ethiopia. But unfortunately, the Ethiopian government rebuffed the AU's effort. Now, you see, the AU, Ethiopia is undergoing a very, very tumultuous time, and actually it is the capital and the seat of power of the African Union. But up to this juncture, the AU has been unable to solve the Tigrayan crisis. And this is not something new to the African Union, Dr. Nyanchama, because we've seen conflicts going on unabated in the southern region of the continent, in the Central African Republic, in the Sahel region for the longest time, and other parts of West Africa. What is your take on this particular subject? Is African Union captured? What do you think?
Wesonga, thank you very much. In fact, if we had a Kiswahili panelist in the studio, he could have described African Union eti iko katika giza totoro, yani inalala usingizi wa pono. That is how a Kiswahili person could have described it. Absolutely, if he could have, I could agree with him. Wesonga, let us be honest and putting this thing in perspective. Do you know, Wesonga, with humility, 18 years ago, the African Union changed its constitutive act, allowing it to intervene in internal affairs of member states where it is, in its opinion, the conflict existing there is going to undermine the security of the citizens of those countries. What has happened? Enalala usingizi wa pono. In fact, to give evidence to any African leader, listen, look at the prominent conflict by the non-state actors, including, Tuareg separatists and jihadist insurgencies in Mali, Boko Haram in northern Nigeria, the jihadists and militia insurgencies in Burkina Faso, Al-Shabaab, Somalia, and the ethnic wars in the Central African Republic. Notable civil wars are those in Libya, South Sudan, and the Anglo-Ambosania separatists in Cameroon, Mozambique. Look at now Ethiopia, where in fact AU is domiciled with Songa. How can we describe this union? Even the enemy is conflict in a nation where you are a domicile, where your resident is. You can't even raise a finger with all the powers which are bestowed in the Constitutive Act. I think it was of around 2000 there. I can't remember. And you can't invoke it. Do you know why the problem with Songa? Is because of interests. All those leaders are compromised, sycophants of certain forces. Do you know, as a Christian, let me now speak as an elder. Do you know, Wesonga, why Jesus Christ? He never appointed people he healed to be his disciples. Are you aware? Jesus Christ. He never allowed the people who were suffering from ailments and he healed them to be his disciples. Why? Because he believed the highest level of indebtedness is sycophancy. That you cannot be effective when the person who's your leader, when you are indebted to him, you will always say, yes, sir. Yes, madam. Yes, sir. That is why if he could have allowed the people he healed to be his disciples, they could not put him in check. That is why he left them out.
All right.
The problem we have in Africa, we have leaders pretending to serve an independent organization. Well, on the other hand, they are serving interests of some other people within the continent and without. And we must be very sincere that it is high time we look at the operations of AU. In fact, for me, I don't think we have AU with all this conflict, which I have said Wesonga. I have no further words to say Wesonga. For now, I submit.
Thank you so much, Dr. Joseph Nyanchama. And of course, that is the perspective, the wider perspective that all observers and players and partners have towards the African Union. In fact, it has been unable even to solve the electoral disputes that we've been having across member states for the longest time now. And therefore, I'll just move with speed and hand over the baton again to Dr. Masanga David to take us through this question of the African Union and be able to maybe merge it with South Sudan, Cameroon, and Nigeria as we come to the home stretch of the show. And therefore, Dr. Masanga David, the question was the African Union, is it captured or is it dying or suffering from a political management crisis? Doctor.
Thank you very much. Viewers and listeners across the continent of Africa. Today is my maiden day to make a speech that could be remembered. That's why I allowed everybody to go at it first. The answer to that question is yes. Very yes. The reasons are clear. The reasons are very clear why African Union has been captured. Why African Union is dying a political death because of bad management at the helm. As we speak today, across Africa, several hotspots, beginning from Nigeria, the most populous state on the continent of Africa, populous nation, a nation collapsing, sinking, a nation sinking deeper into a crisis until some army generals wake up and take down Buhari. Is when the Nigerians will have peace. It is until the generals wake up and say, fine, 30, 40 years back, 30 years ago, or 20 years ago, we had the last general called General Baba, the very notorious general who died at night abruptly. The man who killed and imprisoned Obasanjo. The man who put Chief Abiola into jail. The man who killed Ken. Until African Union sees that there is a sinking ship. A sinking ship with a population of 200 million people. Going down daily. Abductions. Kidnaps. Torture. Defilement. Rape. Killings. Boko Haram. Bandits. Fulani herdsmen. This language, all of it, is found in one of the biggest economies of Africa. Until we get there, African Union is dead. Why has African Union looked the other side? While these events are taking place this other side, African Union is captured. Who captured the African Union? Multinational, international companies. Nations in the metros of Europe, namely France. The French have captured the African Union. Our AU chairperson, Mr. Mohamed Faki, is more visible in Paris than he is visible in Addis Ababa. If Africa does not speak now, who will speak? Mugabe is dead. Nyerere is gone. Kaunda is gone. Rawlings is gone. Obote is gone. Jomo Kenyatta is gone. Haile Selassie is gone. Patrice Lumumba is gone. Baba Tafawa Balewa is gone. Muammar Gaddafi is gone. Who will speak for Africa if we don't speak now? The chairperson of Africa, Fulani himself, does not look at the events that have taken place in Cameroon. The Amazonians have been crying for them to be rescued from a hammer of a 42-year-old leadership of Paul Biya. Paul Biya has slaughtered more people than Hitler. We still call him the chairman, the president of Cameroon. Buhari has killed more people in the spell of first term and the second term. Combine the number of people, combine the number of women, the children, the girls who have been abducted by Boko Haram. When Buhari promised us he will remove Boko Haram in 100 days. Where are we today, Africa? Where are we today, East Africa? Where are we today? AU is captured. In 2017, I wrote a report, the first intelligence report, which can be got. And I think my production manager is alone today, but can deliver that report. I have written 4 good reports in one of the best English language, English that I studied in the Queen's land, not on the streets of America or the streets of Mogadishu. I read it, I wrote 4 good intelligence reports telling the world we have a problem. The African Union is captured. Report 1, report 2, report 3, report 4. Report 1, where sex was used to give jobs. Where the African Union, you have to be sexed. You have to have sex with the officials in order to get a job. Whether a man or a woman. That report came out. I went deeper to find that the chief of staff of the chairperson, Mahamat Faki, was paid money from Paris. And his salary on top of African Union paying the salary. He was also receiving money from the SDG. There you are. If you think Matanga talks, if you think Matanga has not been fighting for the people of Biafra, read that report. Look for it. Put in black my website for people to look at the report. Report 1, report 2, report 3, report 4. I warned the African heads of state. I supplied this information to Uhuru Kenyatta, Museveni, President of Zimbabwe, my good friend. I gave them reports. I gave a report to President Magufuli, my friend, the late. The Minister of Foreign Affairs of Tanzania, my best friend, Dr. Mahiga. I warned Mahiga. I went further, I gave a report to Chisano. I gave a report to Rawlings as former head of state that African Union is captured by France. And if we don't start up, and I sent a report, yes, to Kagame. Because Kagame can be a president, but he was my comrade. We are all fighters in the same trenches. He knows how to cock a gun, I know how to cock a gun. And assemble it. So I'm not threatened by Buhari. Buhari can threaten the boys. These boys that he kidnaps. And that's the rendition. Stupid. It's killing people. African Union is dead. African Union, I saw over my dead body that I will never step in Addis Ababa when Mr. Mahamat Faki, a man from Chad, is still the president of African Union. That guy you see there, he's more of a French princess. I don't know what, no prince, let me call him French prince, than an African prince. What do we gain out of this? He killed the AU Kabisa. He divided the AU into 2 parts. And those leaders, especially President Uhuru Kenyatta, listen to me, my dear brother. I'm begging you today. Kenya is the chairman of the Security Council of AU. If you don't watch the events taking place in Mozambique, the time you wake up, you will get a shock. What's happening in Mozambique is something that I cannot disclose here on this national television. But thanks God, I have warned some leaders in the southern SADC to be careful. And I passed over seriously to the Tanzanians to watch. Something is not good around Cape Delgado. Because who created the terrorists in Cape Delgado? Why did the Total Oil go to Cape Delgado? Who told them that there was oil? Why did they leave immediately? They withdrew from Cape Delgado. Who has replaced? What is happening there right now is something that I'm telling you I cannot say here. But the leadership of Africa, the leadership of SADC must be careful. A new conflict after Afghanistan is being manufactured on the African continent. My fellow Africans, time has come for you to sit and review and renew your faith and think about this new conflict. First of all, they manufacture the drugs, they manufacture the vaccine, but they don't give you the vaccine. Hello? Hello? Have you seen something wrong here? You people, I'm not talking to people who don't know. Do you know anything which is going on wrong? These powers, superpowers, manufacture the vaccine, but they don't give you the vaccine. Have you asked yourself, as an African, do you have value anymore? They are telling us a new wave has begun in China, which is more destructive. Why haven't we brought China on the table? Why is it that China is manufacturing these waves for us? So why are we a recipient of the waves manufactured in China? Is Africa ready? Yes. Is Africa ready to understand? Is Africa ready to understand the difficulties that we are going through? Is African Union captured? Is African Union dying because of bad management? The answers are clear. Yes. Dr. Najama brought in the question of Swahili. He's not only sleeping. They are flying in a mirage. You know, when you are sleeping, Dr. Najama, there is a sense you can wake up. But when you are dead and you are in a mirage politics, politics of a mirage of chasing. Look at this scenario. Muammar Gaddafi was killed. Libya was bombed because of lies. There is nobody in African Union who has asked the NATO countries to explain to them why they dismembered the country that had actually developed itself and it was helping to develop Africa. Is there African Union question? I've not seen any paper being written to NATO, a letter to explain why NATO rained bombs on a country that was peaceful. Instead of, if you wanted to kill Gaddafi, you should have just killed Gaddafi. If you want blood, why did you go to bomb a country that was giving people food, medicine, education, and bring it to knees? Today, Libya is a suffering child of Africa. Should I sit here on TV, talk about smaller things, when Africa is in chaos? They created the vaccine. We don't have the vaccine. Kenya, with a population of 52 million people, has only vaccinated, double vaccine, 623 people, 1,000. Did you know that? People who have got double vaccine in Kenya. No, honestly. And when you go to get this license, they tell you will buy the medicine through AU, COVAX, something, COVAX or system. You know it was song. COVAX system. And in the COVAX system, you don't, they just allocate you a quota. Are people going to keep quiet while they are dying and they wait for the quota? You see how silent all of you are? If you don't go and get at the river and start showering and washing your hands, if we don't do that as Africa, we are dead. Kenya has only vaccinated double vaccine, less than 700 people. 700,000 people. So, if there is another variant coming stronger than the one we have now in our hands, brother, where are we going? Brothers, where are we going? What is the AU's position? President Uhuru Kenyatta went to Britain. Britain gave us 800,000 doses. They are on the way coming. Why can't AU sit down, organize itself, and tell the world this disease did not come from us? China created the disease. I have not seen anywhere written that China has been queried why the disease came about. Maybe Songa is always reading at night. Have you got any answer for me? So we are continuing to treat another thing, another one called beta, another one delta. More are coming. Now today I've read another disease has arrived, the variant. Who is going to speak for Africa? The killings in Nigeria, kidnap in Nigeria, sufferings in Nigeria, sufferings in Amazonia, sufferings. Who is speaking for Africa? In my conclusion, therefore, I want to tell you the truth. As we speak now, something, you know, God has never forgotten Africa. And God is always on the side of Matanga. And I want to thank God. Thank you very much. My word is that I speak all the time. God has never embarrassed me. Didn't I tell you, Mr. Wesonga and Tawish, put on your picture and see you? Didn't I tell you, Tawish, that one day, and all of you Wesonga, you are on the show, that by 2021, 14 countries in Africa.
In sub-Saharan Africa, indeed, I remember Dr. Masanga.
Sub-Saharan Africa.
Yes.
14 countries in sub-Saharan Africa will be on the radar of regime change. Has God forgotten me? No. I thank the God. All the countries that I mentioned are on the radar of all, they have already regime change. The last one was South Africa, which happened a few weeks ago. And the tension is still coming up. It's a time bomb. I warned you. I said it. As a scholar of international relations, I told you countries that will collapse into chaos. For example, now I'm telling you there will be a coup in Nigeria very soon. Because things have gone beyond. If Buhari doesn't know this, sorry, prepare for it. Steal as much as you can now. But you will be caught. Abacha, that's the guy I was looking for. I went and demonstrated outside Nigerian embassy in London for the release of Obasanjo and Chief Abiola and Ken. Every Friday, those who see my face, who know me like Justice Osuji, who was a student by then in London, who had just finished his law degree. We were together in a demonstration. Every Friday, I could carry my drinks all the way from Surrey, drive into central London, park the car, and go in near outside Nigerian embassy to fight for the release of the leaders from Abacha's jail. Time has come, and I want to thank South Africa, Zimbabwe, and Namibia for spearheading the call. You know, boss, Dr. Nyachama and my brothers here, don't you think there are people in Africa who listen to me also? Hello? You think it is on the... People you can belittle me, but there are people who listen. And I want to tell you proudly, they are. South Africa has listened. Namibia has listened. Zimbabwe is listening. They have opposed Mr. Muhammad Faki. They want to discuss. You cannot, not because I am one of the few people who stand and say the Middle East crisis can be solved by two-state solution. I am on the side. My views on Israel are very clear. I support. But for you to bring Israel on board, convince everybody. Yes, convince everybody. You don't just wake up and say, we brought you in. The founding fathers of African Union, Organization of African Unity, even put it in the chapter that this is what they will follow. I therefore tell you that in summary, yes, it is captured. Yes, there is no AU. It's a skeleton. Yes, Nigerians will continue dying if they look at AU as the helper. AU cannot help you. AU has been captured by France. Mercantile capitalism of Total Oil has taken over Africa. The continent is slowly sinking into mercantile capitalism capture. Buhari, Paul Biya, and the rest of these dictators are remaining walking high. Nobody cares about us. Nobody cares about Africa. It is until Africa itself rises up and gets a rebuff, rises up and gets a rebuff, a renaissance, is when Africa will stand and shine again. Thank you. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of you for your contribution this evening. Unless you have any vote of thanks to move towards me, you allowed Dr. Nyachama to make. You can use it to make your comments. Your final comment.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Masanga, for your commitment. Of course, there is a trail of your commitment and no one can erase it. Your contribution is in indelible ink. Or what we want to urge African leaders, you have a duty, a God-given responsibility to protect the citizens in which you are supposed to lead. It's time to evaluate the risks of Africa. And if the organization AU, let it wake up. And if it dies, let us rejuvenate a new one to start looking at the interests of Africa. Otherwise, as stated by Mahatma Gandhi, that we have not borrowed, we have not inherited this continent from our forefathers. We have inherited from our children, and we must return it with interest. So to end, I must say thank you, Dr. Masanga. Your contribution is in indelible ink, and no eraser can erase it. So be rest assured that you will go into history for giving your best. Because as stated the Bible or the book I read, the generosity of a person is not how much he gives, but how much he retains. So you have retained nothing. You have given your all. And my fellow panelists, you have also done your best to discern the challenges in Africa. AU and the heads of state can they also wake up and salvage Africa?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, we seem to have a problem there with Dr. Joseph Nyanchama, who was just trying to give a vote of thanks to that very, very powerful submission by Dr. Masanga David in regarding to the African Union and its state. And that marks the end of our conversation this evening. This has been the African Showdown, coming to you every Sunday from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. East African time. And of course, tomorrow we shall be having the Good Morning Africa, the weekly shows commencing with Miriam Ogutu at 9 a.m. East African time. Don't miss out. They say that all is well that ends well. And that has been all from us from here in Nairobi, Kenya, from Punchline Africa TV. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for watching Punchline Africa TV. See you again. Until next time.
Peace must be our goal and our guide. And all that we strive for as a human family, dignity and hope, progress and prosperity, depends on peace. But peace depends on us.